Week 11 has now arrived. We are 1 week closer to the fantasy football playoffs, meaning your start and sit decisions become more critical now than ever. So today, 18 different players that we are looking to start or sit this week. All right, we'll start at the top with the running backs as we always do. Go through our starts and sits, do the same for wide receivers, then end the show with some quarterbacks and tight ends. Cameron, Jaylen Warren absolutely has to be in your lineup this week. Anybody who plays the Cincinnati Bengals should be locked into your lineup. It's one of the biggest mistakes, you can make week in and week out if you're not starting a running back against the Bengals.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Every time we do the starts, I go, who's playing the Bengals, who's playing the Dolphins, who's playing the Cowboys, and that's pretty much how I decide all my starts and sits. And this week, Jaylen Warren.
Great analysis.
So I don't know. You're usually not wrong when you follow that. Bengals are giving up 144 rush yards a game right now to running backs. Next closest is Dallas at 119. So they're giving up 25 more yards per game to running backs than everybody else. Back in week 7, Jaylen Warren had 16 carries for 127 yards, another 4 catches for 31 yards. He had almost 20 full PPR points without scoring a touchdown. Like, you're doing something right when you're doing that. So I was also surprised. Did you realize Jaylen Warren, only 2 rushing touchdowns on the year, has 72% of carries inside the 5? It was wild to me. So they, A, don't run the ball inside the 5, and B, they aren't there that often. So maybe we get a touchdown this week. If it's going to happen in any week, it'd be against the Cincinnati Bengals. And that's crazy, too. They got them at minus odds to score whatever Vegas thinks, I guess, or Underdog thinks. This isn't Vegas. Underdog thinks, but yeah, I am definitely firing up Jaylen Warren.
The only comment that I have on this is that I don't think this is as much of a timeshare as people might still be telling themselves that it is, because Jaylen Warren is getting 14, 15 plus carries a game, and it's either Kenneth Gainwell or Caleb Johnson that's only getting 3 carries at most. Behind him otherwise. So this is like purely Jaylen Warren, Ty. Again, smash matchup. Anything you want to add on here?
The touchdowns are concerning to me. The Pittsburgh offensive line is having some real big issues right now. But at the same time,
are you still concerned about that against the Bengals though?
Yeah. Well, that's where I was going. Because
okay. I just want to make sure. You started off so negative, and I'm like, I feel like there's not a need to.
Well, like I feel like we can, just because the defensive matchup is great doesn't excuse the issues that are currently going on with the offense, but it can at least kind of like cover up the fact that, again, it is bad right now. But in this game, you, like you said at the top, like you don't bench running backs going up against the Cincinnati defense.
Before we move on to the rest of the running backs, wanted to highlight the fact that I was looking the other day, 82% of you all who watch our content actually aren't subscribed to our channel yet. So we can make a change to that quick right now. If you want to hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell as well, you'll be alerted when all of our newest content is up. You don't have to miraculously find it on your feed every single time. It's one of the easiest ways to support us. It's 100% free for you. Really, our goal, yes, we want to provide you our insights that we're using to beat each other and beat our league mates that we're playing in leagues with as well. But we want to remind you of the fun and camaraderie that comes with this game of fake football as well. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be competitive, but it's also meant to be fun. We want to make sure we remind you of that as well. Excuse me. Ty, I'll kick it back to you here. Woody Marks, your start of the week here against Tennessee.
Just for the exact same reason that you started running back against Cincinnati, you should start a running back going up against this Tennessee defense. And I'm proud to announce that it's officially the Woody Marks show here in Houston. I don't know if you guys realize this. In their game last week against Jacksonville, Woody Marks took every snap on the first drive, and he started out on the second drive. That usually means that that's an intentional change, that they are wanting to get Woody Marks more involved and to be the lead guy in this backfield. So you get the opportunity of being a lead back against a Tennessee defense that they are sixth in defensive EPA per rush allowed and top 10 in rushing yards per game, yards per carry allowed. I feel like this is a pretty easy start for Woody Marks. I'm not sure if we can necessarily sit here and say it's a top 12 ceiling on the week, but I feel like because of the usage now going forward as the lead guy, the matchup again, it warrants a start.
Cameron, any concern on your end that the last time we did see this Tennessee Titans team roll out, they did hold Kamani Vidal. Kamani Vidal was supposed to be a smash start, but he was held to 12 carries for 30 yards, and Jarrett Patterson 9 for 44. Is that more about the Chargers' offensive line? Do you think Tennessee has turned a corner here? Just something that I'm considering based on their last performance.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd say it's more fluky than anything that they're able to slow him down. I'm not, we saw Miami shut down Josh Allen, so even a blind
Anything's
squirrel
possible.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. So I'm not too concerned about that continuing here. At the very least, you're going to get volume because this Tennessee offense isn't just going to show up randomly against the Texans. They also gave up 153 yards on 12 carries to Jonathan Taylor 2 weeks ago. I understand it's Jonathan Taylor, but they were giving up 12.75 yards per carry. So yeah, I think there's both sides of the coin there with this defense.
Sure, but which I completely understand. I just want to make sure that was noted. I didn't want to just make it seem like, they're a cakewalk when Kamani Vidal, who had 2 games of 125 plus yards alone himself, couldn't even muster a quarter of that in a single game against the Tennessee Titans the last outing. Excuse me, goodness, stumbling over my words. So I'm just going to make sure I get my start of the week out of the way, so then you two can give me feedback on it. Rachaad White, it's worth monitoring Bucky Irving's status going into this weekend. Obviously, if Bucky plays, hey, guess what? You're probably not going to be playing Rachaad White, but let's assume Bucky Irving is out. This Buffalo Bills run defense continues to be a massive weak spot for them, right? They're allowing 140 rushing yards per game to running backs in their last 4 contests on the season. They're top 5 in rushing yards allowed to the position. I know Rachaad White hasn't been great in his last 3 games. He actually hasn't given you a weekly finish better than the running back 30 in that stretch, but 2 of those games, to provide context, were against debatably 2 of the most difficult matchups for running backs in fantasy football this year, being the Detroit Lions and the New England Patriots. Both of those teams are bottom 4 in points allowed to running backs. So the Bills, they're getting up to 7th most points on the opposite end of the spectrum. So if Bucky's out, I'm firing up Rachaad White here in what could honestly, again, be a high-scoring game between 2 high-powered offenses.
I will say my only concern is Sean Tucker does have more rush yards in each of the last 2 games than Rachaad White. Rachaad White's not an amazing runner of the football. He kind of likes to go down whenever someone touches him and doesn't make people miss between the tackles, but he is a good receiving back, and that is very helpful in fantasy football. So 5 receptions in the last game, 2, 4, 3. So he's going to see work no matter what. He's going to be a consistent player, and if he finds the end zone, then you get that upside, which in a game against the Bills, they're going to have to score. So it's not, for me, like as much of a smash matchup as I would like it to be just because of the Sean Tucker angle. Yeah. But I still agree that as long as Bucky's out, I think you're fine putting him in your starting lineup.
You have any concerns around Sean Tucker yourself, Ty? Or is that just more of a someone else is going to get work and find a hole in bad matchups?
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel about Sean Tucker. Like, when you think of Rachaad White and the opportunity that he has, you would want him to be closer to be like an RB1, maybe a top 15 guy. I don't think that's exactly what you're getting, but I feel like you're also getting a relatively like safe play here. You're getting a relatively okay floor here for Rachaad White, knowing that he's going to be the guy to get the most snaps and the most opportunities between him and Sean Tucker.
Let's move it on to the running back sits. We'll keep things clicking along here for the people. I hate that Ken Walker has just become a regular in this department, but I mean, against the Rams defense is so freaking good, man. I mean, they're legit Super Bowl contenders this year. It's tough to throw Ken Walker into a lineup this week, Cam.
Yeah, they're giving up on average 73 rush yards a game right now. And I don't want to break your guys' heart. Do you know where Ken Walker ranks in points per game since week 5?
Oh, it's got to be like the running back 70. Like all my Ken Walker hope is just like shot straight through the heart.
Are you giving me like you're going to guess, Ty, or you just want to hear it?
I just want to hear it because some of us have been on this train for a while now.
Stop. Oh,
running back 43.
Oh, see, now you know how bad it hurts. I still shot way over at running back 70, but that's still just as bad.
I want to give you a couple guys he's behind. Tyjae Spears, Bam Knight, Isaiah Pacheco, Michael Carter, Bill Krosky Merritt. he is tied with Mari DiMercato. Like that's how bad we're getting right now. And now he gets a team that's giving up on average 73 rush yards a game. It's not pretty. And that's 73 to the entire backfield. That's not like 73 to one rusher. He's got to split that with Zach Charbonnet. So, maybe I can get one reception for 8 yards and 43 yards rushing on 10 carries. Oh, that sounds like a great 5.9 points or whatever. Like that's what you're hoping for with Ken Walker. And unfortunately, that's not pretty.
Going to hold my comments on Ken Walker, mostly because I was the Ken Walker truther all throughout the preseason. I held on hope for about 5 weeks, about the time frame that Cameron gave, and then we haven't talked about him a ton since then, so I haven't been able to say, hey, I admit it, I was completely wrong on Ken Walker, but I feel like every time Ken Walker even his name is starting to be said, Ty just puffs out his chest and is like, oh, I've been on this train since the offseason.
Not since the offseason, because I was with you. I was like, man, Ken Walker in this Clint Kubiak offense could be absolute dynamite. I don't think anyone saw that they just like Zach Charbonnet in the areas of the field where fantasy points are usually scored.
When Ken Walker gets you to that point of the field, you can't even reward the man for getting you there.
Right. You would rather reward George
I hope you're
Holani.
hungry for nothing, Ken Walker.
George Holani. Go ahead and take the dinner from Ken Walker then. Yeah, this one's really, really straightforward. It was tough for me to start Ken Walker in the first place, and now the matchup on top of it is just an absolute no-go.
I'll come right back to you, Ty. RJ Harvey, sit of the week here against Kansas City, tough matchup. I completely agree with this one. Curious why there's emphasis made on sit of the week for you here.
So, excuse me. Obviously, you've probably heard by now that J.K. Dobbins has an injury. No one knows exactly how serious it is or how long he's going to be out for. It's been reported that
IR.
Right. That's been the report, is that he could be a candidate for the IR. But I feel like I can say with confidence, J.K. Dobbins isn't playing in this game. So that leaves you with RJ Harvey, Tyler Bidet. Is that how you say his name?
Bidet.
Batty.
I don't know. Spin the wheel. Let's pick one.
Yeah, I like Batty.
Can we have a bidet wheel behind us so we just spin whenever we have to bring his name up? Whatever it lands on, so we call him.
Why not? And then I don't even know who's behind Mr. Tyler then. So I think a lot of people would look at this opportunity for RJ Harvey and just go, man, he's an explosive playmaker. He now has the opportunity like a Travion Henderson did right when Ramondre Stevenson was out. This should be a really, really, I should start RJ Harvey. I can understand it a little bit from that point, but in my opinion, I think that Tyler Bidet stays just involved enough to really kind of cap the ceiling, to not give you any kind of performance that would give you hope that he can take over the backfield and maybe put a shit closer to a 50-50 split with him and J.K. Dobbins. The matchup against Kansas City, like you said, Lucas, not great, tough matchup. So I'm okay sitting RJ Harvey in this one and just letting the backfield kind of play out this game. And if RJ Harvey ends up taking 70% of the snaps or touches, then cool, then we know. But again, I'm not expecting a whole lot off of those touches with this matchup.
To answer your question of who is after Mr. Tyler B in the Broncos backfield, it's the one and only Julian McLaughlin.
See, I thought it was him, but I thought he was hurt for a while.
He probably was. Who knows? Nobody cares about the fourth running back on a team's depth chart, though, unless if you're
Audric Estime. Let's go.
I was going to say Audric Estime was my first thought. I'm like, I actually don't think he's on the team anymore.
I know that.
Cannot confirm that, but no interest from you either, Cameron.
Nah, I mean, you'd have to get lucky with the receiving work. I'm not expecting them to score a lot. This Denver offense has not looked good for a little while.
Nix has not looked good for a little while.
Nix has not looked good.
Nix has not looked good.
Right. Troy Franklin has looked fantastic, but no.
Okay. Sorry. I just know what's coming in the future. So
it's just a bunch of trade offers in our dynasty leagues with Troy Franklin in them for all these overpriced players.
But yeah, I don't know. I think Kansas City could put up a lot of points. Their defense has been playing good. I don't trust him to get a ton of volume. He'd kind of have to PPR his way as a running back to fantasy value or accidentally fall in the end zone, and I don't think either happened.
I'll just put a kibosh on all of our running back sits here and just say Tony Pollard, because you really don't need to get excited about this one. I could tell you the matchup against Houston is bad, but let me just read you all of Tony Pollard's weekly finishes this year. Week 1, RB 39, 29, 15 in week 3, 33, 18 in week 5, 33, 33, 32, 27. There is no ceiling to be had with Tony Pollard whatsoever in this just flat out bad Tennessee Titans offense. If you want to say he's a quote unquote floor play, like, be my guest if you just want to safely play the RB 35, which is hardly playable on a given week. Like, I won't beat a dead horse here, excuse me, because Tony Pollard, I just be sat flat out, period. There's no upside to be had. You could play higher upside players. I would rather swing for the fences and watch Tony Pollard rumble for 50 yards on the ground and maybe catch a pass.
He's averaging 2 more points per game since week 5 than Kenneth Walker. So, I mean, maybe he is.
Hey, there's something there.
There's a ceiling. But in that stretch, he's also only scored 12 over double-digit PPR fantasy points once. So, not a lot to get excited for, like you said. I'd stay away in this one.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Underdog, where you can get into the game this season playing Pick'em. It's extremely simple. Just pick higher or lower on 2 or more of your favorite players. For example, I'll pick the highers on Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Xavier Worthy. If I played $10 and got all 3 of them right, I would win $60 just by watching football. And that's the beauty of Pick'em. You can track your picks and your wins while you enjoy the game. Now, if you're not on Underdog yet, scan the QR code on your screen or use our code FELLAS when you sign up, because new customers will get $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5 on the app. Plus, Underdog will give you a free pick to use in your first entry. Again, that's code FELLAS over on Underdog. Now let's get you back to the rest of the show. Let's move it on to the wide receiver position now. Enough talking about the sits. We're done being negative. We're going to get back to the positive here. Cameron, you got the Jameson Williams bug. We talked about him earlier this week. You got pretty excited about him, and you're willing to play him against the Philadelphia Eagles this week.
Yeah, it's not exactly a fantastic matchup by any means. I mean, if you saw them shut down a $55 million quarterback last week, you know that this defense is for real in Philadelphia, because Jordan Love is #elite. And so to slow him down the way they did is
guaranteed top
impressive. 10. It just, I mean, second coming of Aaron Rodgers, new Brett Favre.
It just makes me laugh. Like, all the expectations people are just casting on it, and then they're like, no, it's Matt LaFleur's fault. I'm like, wait, hold on. I think we got this backwards. I think we got the equation
terrible.
Terrible.
But yeah, I'm looking at 16 plus in 3 of the last 4 games. I'm looking at Dan Campbell getting him involved. John Morton saying that he failed Jameson Williams, and they come back out the next 2 weeks and get him 6 to 7 targets, which isn't a ton. But for a guy like J-Mo and the way that they use him down the field, that's all he needs, right? He only has to catch 4 or 5 passes, and you've got a double-digit week because of the way that they use him in this offense. I think they're going to continue to find ways to get him the ball more effectively with Dan Campbell calling these passes. So this is just my vote of confidence in Dan Campbell, the play caller, getting Jameson Williams involved. And like Lucas said, if you really want more thoughts, me and Lucas talked about him for a good 5 or 6 minutes as a rest of season outlook on that episode on Tuesday.
Yeah, and since talking about that, like, I have kind of changed my stance on, like, okay, now that Dan Campbell has taken over the play calling, like, he's more crafty than we give him credit for. Ben Solak was on Sports Center. He did a great bit on Dan Campbell as a play caller. I can't remember the exact stat that he brought up, but essentially, like, it's the portrayal of Dan Campbell of being this, like, just meathead kneecap biter that he instills into his teams, but, like, he's kind of a nerd behind the scenes and knows how to shift things around in this offense to get guys opens in the schemes that he wants them to. Right. Again, if you want to go find that video, it's on Ben Solak's Twitter page somewhere. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but Ty, any interest in you for Jameson Williams here? I'll let you speak, and then I'll maybe close out with my thought.
I definitely have some interest in Jameson Williams at this point, because I saw a change in getting Jameson Williams in space rather than just kind of sticking him out on the sideline and just hoping that he wins vertical, which he can do. but he is a much bigger threat when he's in space. And like I said, because we saw that with Dan Campbell kind of calling the shots, I'm very encouraged. I'm optimistic that we continue to see that moving forward, and especially against this Philly defense where I think points are scored in this game, especially by Detroit.
Not by AJ Brown.
Definitely not by AJ Brown.
Hey, family's good though. Family's good. Family's good for AJ Brown.
Go ahead and drop him though. Again, listen to the guy. Just drop him in fantasy. Just go ahead and drop him.
Trade him to me.
No, I have no interest in that anyway. Yes, fire up Jameson Williams at this point. There is definitely a change in trying to get him the ball, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, there's clearly a change here. I don't know if it automatically boosts him into must-start territory for me, but it boosts him into that, like, I'm much more comfortable throwing him into my flex than I was 3 weeks ago.
He's startable again.
Right. He's all of a sudden like, you know what? I do have more confidence playing him here rather than am I going to get the 25-point week or am I going to get the 2.5-point week? Right. So I feel more comfortable that we're going to get something much higher than 2.5. I'm not saying we're going to get the 25-point week here for sure, but he all of a sudden becomes a much an easier flex play to digest in my eyes. Ty, you got to play T. Higgins. He's been feasting against the Pittsburgh Steelers, not just this year, but throughout his career as well. If he puts up anything like he did, 3-4 weeks ago against the Steelers, he's a lineup lock here.
Soft.
This is kind of an easy one.
This is soft.
So saying that Tony Pollard was a sit wasn't an easy one. Saying that Ken Walker is a sit wasn't an easy one. Hey,
Ken Walker was a top 5. It was dropped in the top 5 rounds.
So was T. Higgins. What?
Exactly, and you're saying he's a start.
Well,
cheater.
Okay, fair. Anyway, since Joe Flacco took the reins here in Cincinnati, T. Higgins is a top 5 wide receiver in points per game.
That is notable. That's important to mention here.
That's important to know. Pittsburgh plays man coverage at the 5th highest rate in the league. And T. Higgins, considerably better against man coverage than he is against zone. He is top 10 in fantasy points per route run. And he has a much higher target rate against man than he does against zone. So you were, again, this is where the cherry picking comes in. You were already starting T. Higgins right without the matchup. Because it has been so good with Joe Flacco, but T. Higgins has top 10 upside this week. Don't second guess it. Don't try to get cute. Just put T. Higgins in your lineup and just leave it this week.
I mean, that's the angle you take here, right? It's like T. Higgins is a top 10 wide receiver potentially in fantasy football this week. If he, I mean, let's be, all it's going to take is for him to have 85, 90 yards and a score on 5 receptions, and you're looking at probably a top 12 guy on the week. So, yeah, that could totally come against the Pittsburgh Steelers, against 2 defenses that they're not going to stop one another. That's really what it's going to be. Maybe they figured out a thing or two since the last time they played, but no, I'm with you here, Ty. This is a smash spot here for T. Higgins where, you play him with like top 12 confidence this week. I firmly believe that. I'll move on to a guy that is a more difficult pill to swallow playing this week, but Romeo Doubs gets the New York Giants this week. Cam's already groaning.
Yeah, I take it back, Ty. You can take T. Higgins. That's fine. What are we doing here? You got to.
What are we doing? What are we doing here?
You're letting Monday ruin this a little too much.
No kidding. Goodness. Before I even dive into Romeo Doubs, though, I've seen some people try and strap a rocket ship on a Christian Watson's back for this game. Because Romeo Doubs left Monday night with the chest injury, he was already listed as a full participant for the team's walkthrough on Wednesday, and LaFleur has already made remarks as though Romeo Doubs is going to be good to go on Sunday against the New York Giants. So I'm going to say it's safe to roll out Green Bay's wide receiver 1 as of recent. You don't have Tucker Kraft in this lineup anymore. Since week 4, Romeo Doubs has been functioning clearly as Jordan Love's top wide receiver. He's been drawing a target on 26% of his routes. He's earned a 40% air yard share during that span. That is the 12th highest of all wide receivers, and he's drawn 8+ targets in 4 of those 6 games. So really, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Romeo Doubs is a top 20 machine as of recent. but he's been getting the volume. He's been earning a crap ton of targets. It's just like, you know what? Romeo Doubs is automatically in flex consideration, especially when the Giants have given up the 3rd most yards to wide receivers this year. I get Josh Jacobs might just rumble all over this New York Giants defense, but this could be one of those annoying games where Romeo Doubs gives you 5 receptions for 60 yards. He gives you like a Cortland Sutton stat line in this game. Like, you know, the classic 5 for 50 and a score in this game. And all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, Romeo Doubs was a top 24 wide receiver this week. He was wide receiver 2 on the week. So that's where I'm coming from on Romeo Doubs. He's not T Higgins here, right? I'm not saying he's top 10 upside. I'm saying Romeo Doubs is likely the wide receiver 1 in this offense. He gets a great matchup with the Giants. I'm all for starting him in your flex spot.
I'll admit, I did not realize that he missed part of the game with that chest
on
injury.
Sunday. Yeah.
It was late.
And
the reason I missed it is because YouTube TV and Google or Disney are being so they're ruining my night, not letting me watch. Thanks, Bob Iger. But yeah, I agree. You probably got to fire him up against the Giants in this one. Even if Matthew Golden plays, I'm not expecting him to overtake Romeo Doubs. Sounds like Jaden Reed's still going to be out. And unfortunately, no Tucker Kraft. So who else are they going to throw the ball to? Especially when you got a $55 million quarterback who can just air it out.
Who's the next Aaron Rodgers?
I mean, God, have we talked about how good Jordan Love is? I mean, just dices up defenses. Just unbelievable.
Our comments make it seem like we hate Jordan Love. That's really not what this is. It's just the narrative that's been going on around, is it Jordan Love, is it Matt LaFleur, and people wanting to fire Matt LaFleur and not blame Jordan Love. I'm just like, that makes, or Jordan Love is just a top 15 quarterback in the NFL and it's okay. He can be top 15 and that's fine.
This feels like a Trevor Lawrence, Doug Peterson situation here. That's all I'm going to say.
Wow. That's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I'll just get my thoughts in real quick. I'm willing to just kind of throw out the week 10 game against Philly and not even like count that as like part of the sample size here. Week 6 through 9. Nice. Romeo Doubs, wide receiver 17 in usage. So yeah, if there's a guy that's going to get targets, Christian Watson is going to get his like 4 to 6 targets.
6, 7.
If
Romeo Doubs will get the 6, 7 targets.
if Christian Watson connects on a deep shot this week, nobody's going to be surprised. Nobody's going to be surprised if Christian Watson.
That's all he can do.
He might be surprised, but
Jordan Love could put it on my numbers.
Yeah.
Well, so wait, am I supposed to catch the ball when I'm facing it and not let it hit off my head, or like
brutal? That was the one thing I did see from the game was Christian Watson try and play defense, let the ball hit him in the face.
The best part, though, did you see after the game though, where someone's like, should Christian Watson have caught this? He quote tweets, he goes, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, nothing like some honesty. He's self-aware at least. Let's turn to wide receiver sits and fly through those here, fellas. People can tamper their expectations on Troy Franklin this week, you think?
Yeah, again, just playing Kansas City. I understand it's been decent as of late, right? We talked about him on yesterday's episode in that Cortland Sutton conversation. But he does have 4 touchdowns in the last 4 games, which has helped a lot. Only has over 40 yards once. When you're playing Kansas City this week, I'm just not expecting, right? I'm not going to bank on a touchdown. I'm not going to bank that all of a sudden we see a ton of yards out of Troy Franklin. So that's where I'm coming from with this, of maybe he gets the volume. I just don't see the yards and touchdowns following in this one.
Yeah, it's one thing to be a volume play, but that typically only bodes well for running backs when you're, getting 18, 19, 20 carries a game that can accumulate to 50, 60, 70 yards on the ground instead. Doesn't quite work the same at wide receiver all the time. Ty, no interest for you either, based on the look on your face right now, or I can't tell what that look is.
I just feel like this is just kind of I don't think Troy Franklin is very good take versus.
Whoa. I think he's the college connection is amazing. We got
it's not just college, brother. It's the family connection. Don't you get it? Don't you get it, man? Troy Franklin over the last 3 weeks, He's a wide receiver 9 in usage,
which is just stupid.
Which Cam and I kind of talked about this in their trade episode that came out yesterday when we talked about Courtland Sutton. I just kind of threw out there. I was like, it feels like Courtland Sutton is kind of rapidly approaching this sacrificial X kind of territory because he's never been the separator. He's never been, a blazer with his speed or anything. So if you need a guy to get open right now, it's been Troy Franklin, and that's why the targets have been getting there to him. So I understand that take could be right. He doesn't find the end zone or the yards aren't there. That, yeah, the targets may be there, but that doesn't automatically mean that he's going to get, that he's going to catch every single one of them. I get that. But I do want people to kind of understand with Troy Franklin that like he might just be a legit piece for the rest of the year because this Broncos offense, has been succeeding because of the Bo Nix and Troy Franklin connection.
A piece. I'll allow a piece. I don't want to overstate what Troy Franklin has done from a production standpoint. The volume's been there, usage has been there, but like Cam said, it's not like the yardage has been like dominant wide receiver one has fully overtaken that role in this offense. It could be. We could get to that point. I'm just a piece is what I'll settle on for Troy Franklin here. But yeah, I'm not in a hurry to shove him into my lineup this week. Come right back to you, Ty. Keenan Allen against the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. You had mentioned this earlier this week in our group chat. Like the numbers for Keenan Allen are concerning. That feels maybe a little bit over exaggerated, but like they aren't what they were at the start of the season, to maybe just say it in the most simple way possible and give you room to still explain.
Yeah. So this was a tweet that I saw, and I have been questioning like what's going on with Keenan Allen because the last 3 weeks he's walked away with just like 5 targets in every game pretty much. And it's like, what's going on? The guy was so good at the beginning of the year. What's going on now? Derek Brown over at Fantasy Pros, he tweeted this out and he gathered the stats since week 8, right? In all the games that Keenan Allen has really kind of fallen flat on his face with the fantasy performances. He has a 55% route share. He has a 16% target share, which is still okay. He's still getting looks when he's on the field, but that's the thing. He's just not getting on the field as much as he was at the beginning of the year. And full transparency, it wasn't even great at the beginning of the year. Like Keenan Allen was kind of being the rotation guy even before that. So this dip in field time, I'll call it, isn't doing him any favors. He has 35 yards per game. He's the wide receiver 74 in points per game. I really don't think this is a bounce back game for him against Jacksonville. Yeah, teams are throwing against Jacksonville more than they're running it. So maybe there's a play where we get into the red zone and Keenan Allen is kind of in the back corner of the end zone. But this is very similar to what we were saying about Jameson Williams, I think against the Vikings, where you're banking on one play. I don't like taking those chances. And Jameson Williams came through with the offensive pass interference. I'm just going to say it. And that saved his week. I just don't think that happens this week against Jacksonville when you have a red hot Ladd McConkey. Your run game is it like Kamani Vidal is carrying his own weight here. So it's not like there's there's not a need to rely on Justin Herbert in the passing game, even though they're still throwing a ton. You get what I'm saying. I just don't have much interest with the limited usage with Keenan Allen at this point.
Yeah, you named Ladd McConkey has been running hot again, which I do think is a big part of that as well. Like, remember, this dude is good, right? He's very good. He's a wide receiver one for this offense. We just didn't get that at the start of the season when Herbert was spreading the ball out to the likes of QJ and Keenan Allen, in addition to Ladd McConkey. Cam, I know Keenan Allen's your boy, but it's kind of tough to refute that.
Yeah, it hurts. I don't know. It feels like everybody's clicking for the Chargers right now in the passing game, right? Ladd, Around the World Gadsden, Quentin Johnson, they're all kind of, coming back and figuring it out. So, yeah, I think that's really just what it is at this point, he's the backup for them of, oh, you're having an off day, I'll kind of step up. And like Ty said, he's just not getting a ton of opportunities. We're just not going to see these crazy weeks like we did to start the season from him.
Can we break down Oronde Gadsden for a second.
You had to bring him up.
No. But here's
I couldn't find the drop. I wanted to hit it.
here's what you keep saying. Around the world, Gadsden. I noticed your name in our Dynasty League is I can't remember what it is. Something around the world, Gadsden. It's just Oronde World, not around the world. Oronde around the world, Gadsden.
No, it's
Oronde World.
No, around the world. You say it right, you don't say it at all. It's around the world.
Oronde World, Gadsden. Anyway, I noticed.
I'll make this. I'll say his name right just for you. Around the world.
Jacoby Myers. I have no interest in him. Same game as Keenan Allen. The Jaguars team is just all out of sorts. I don't want to waste too much time on the roller coaster it's actually been for them this year. Jacoby did lead the team in receiving yards last week, but Brian Thomas is back at practice as of this recording on Wednesday. Parker Washington is going to be a thing, I guess, in this offense. Again, this is just like a Tony Pollard. No need to try and play the quote-unquote floor game here, especially against the Chargers defense, allowing the second fewest points to the position this year. Anything you two want to add in addition to that? This is just a vomit and move on play, or vomit and don't play.
I feel like he probably needs one more week, and there's just so much going on, like you said, with Brian Thomas coming back, playing against the Chargers who've been pretty good, that I don't think it's worth the risk. I don't think he's necessarily going to be terrible.
I don't know if he's left for dead yet.
Yeah, I just don't think it's worth the risk. I would assume you have other players. He's probably your wide receiver 4. So I wouldn't pivot to him in this one for sure.
Before we move on to the quarterbacks and tight ends to consider streaming for this week, I wanted to make sure I remind you all that we are live Sunday mornings. Look, the last few weeks, there's been quite a few conundrums that have gone on. We will be live this Sunday morning, all right? We will answer all of your start-sit questions this Sunday. My gosh, if we don't, I'm going to put the pressure on us and say you're allowed to unsubscribe from our channel if we don't go live on Sunday. There we go. I said it. You can do it. So we'll be live on Sunday. We want to make sure you still watch our content. And the other two are like, Lucas, you're an idiot. We didn't give you permission to say that. But look, if you want to be notified when we do go live again, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell as well so you know as soon as we go live and when all of our other content goes up as well. Let's fly through these streams here, fellas. I'm guessing the majority of these people will still be on people's waiver wires if they do need someone in a pinch this week. Cam, you're going with Joe Flacco against the Steelers. Really can't blame you for taking this one.
26, 24.3, and 32.7 are how many fantasy points he's had in his last 3 games. He gets the Steelers, who he had 26, 342, and 3 against. So yeah, I don't see any reason he can't put up maybe not 342 and 3. But at least something similar when you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins on your team.
Ty, you're going with Tua turn the ball over this week.
Turn the ball over. I feel like I'm being forced to eat some Vegemite with this one because I feel gross with this one.
Vegemite reference.
Thank you.
You know what Vegemite is, Cam?
No idea.
It's like that really, really salty like spread that like Australians put on their toast.
Ooh, well, not you
just had this look on your face where you're like, Vegemite.
Nope.
I'm like, he has no clue what it is.
I was like, funny way to say it.
Vegemite. I don't like my greens.
Yeah.
This matchup, though, for Tua is it's too good. Okay. Washington, first in EPA per dropback allowed, 6th in dropback success rate allowed, allowing over 300 yards per game in their last 3. Again, you probably have a quarterback that you're playing, but like if you're forced to stream, I would give a look to Tua this week.
I will give you credit, Cam. Vegemite is definitely more of an Australian thing, so I'll give you a pass on that one.
I never would have gotten there.
That was a nice little reference there, Ty. I'll take the same game here against Miami Dolphins. I'll take Marcus Mariota. Look, I'm not taking him because I think he can toss multiple touchdowns or give you 300 passing yards in this game. It's more of, I consider taking Aaron Rodgers in the game against the Bengals, and I thought, well, I need 4 touchdowns from Aaron Rodgers if I want him to be a potential starter this week. Rather, Marcus Mariota can throw for 213 and 2 like he did last week, give you some rushing yards on the ground as well. And if they get close to the goal line, look, it was Chris Rodriguez last week, but who says it can't be Marcus Mariota and his mobility around the goal line as well. So if he gives you a few rushing yards and finds the end zone as well, you can do a lot worse than Marcus Mariota against one of the bottom tier defenses in the NFL. So if you need somebody desperate, I don't mind either Tua or Marcus Mariota in the same game here. Let's bring it home with the tight end position. Cam, you're going Theo Johnson.
Yeah, 6+ targets, 3 of his last 4 games, 2 touchdowns in those games. Now sounds like it's gonna be Jameis Winston. So
shout out.
Doesn't get much better than that from a fantasy perspective. And his wide receivers are, I love Wan'Dale, but Wan'Dale Robinson and Darius Slayton. So it's not exactly like you have an alpha right now who he has to pepper. I think he's going to spread around a little bit. And I think Theo Johnson could be a beneficiary of that.
Ty, you're going to go Thursday Night Football here. Take Mason Taylor with Garrett Wilson out.
Yep. In the 2 games without Garrett Wilson already this year, Mason Taylor was 10th in target share and targets per game. He was actually top 5 in first read and design targets in that stretch as well. He was tight end 6 in usage. And on top of that, the Patriots are allowing the 6th most receptions and yards to the position on the year. So I'm fully aware the Jets may have a dud of a game and that impacts everyone on the team. But all I'm saying is that the usage in the matchup is there this week.
I'll close out with the heat check. Because I've been on fire with my tight end picks in our last 2 shows. 2 weeks ago, it was our good old friend Aronde World Gadsden. And then the last time we did this episode, I gave you Cole Kmet. Gave you 29 points in his breakout game.
No. You gave us Colson Loveland, not Cole.
What did I say?
You said
Colson Loveland. Thank you.
Oh, gosh. Wasn't he hurt 2 weeks ago?
Gosh, no, Colson Loveland.
Ballsy to start a guy who's out.
Golly, yes, Colson Loveland. How could I? Gosh, I screwed it up. Tyler Higbee, the Los Angeles Rams against the Seattle Seahawks. I'm targeting matchups, and the crazy thing about the Rams, they're running 3 tight end sets. It's just stupid the rate at which they're running 3 tight end sets this year. They're getting Tyler Higbee, they're getting Colby Parkinson, they're getting Terrence Ferguson all out on the field at the same time.
And don't forget about Davis Allen in the red zone.
Hey, they'll get they'll mix in some Davis Allen too if they really want to feel nasty with it. So look, if they're going to keep all these tight ends out on the field and Seattle is top 5 in points allowed to the tight end position, like I'll take my chances on Tyler Higbee catching a handful of passes, 2-3 passes for 30-something yards in the score this week. And on the off chance he gets peppered with even more, look, I don't mind it. I don't mind it if you want to try and take a shot. I think you could do worse than Tyler Higbee at your tight end position this week. So with how red hot Matt Stafford is as well in the passing game, like I said, you could do worse than Tyler Higbee this week in my mind. So I'll throw a dart here and say he's our explosion tight end player of the week. We'll put a pin in it there. If you want to follow our other content as well, you can follow us over on Twitter. FFL is over there. The FFL is on Instagram, Fantasy Football Fellas on Facebook and TikTok. If you are a YouTube truther through and through, completely understand Fantasy Football Fellas shorts on YouTube. Again, this is exclusive content. It's not cut up content from our podcast. It is entirely different content that we release for you all. So make sure you go check that out. If you want more content from us on our personal socials, I'm at Lucas Wenzel on X, Cam Law FFF for Cameron, Tyler _Plath for Ty. We'll be back on Sunday for our start and sit Q&A live stream. The next week we'll be back with even more content for you all. I believe we got some rest of season rankings coming in next week, so that'll be worth tuning in for as well. Again, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when we're scheduled to see you all next. Gosh, I ended that so sloppily. That's okay. Take care. Stay safe, y'all. Deuces.